Well, good morning from Perthshire, a very, very cold Perthshire. When I parked the car half an hour ago, down there on the shores of Loch Fruki, it was saying it was minus 13. Those of you in the depths of Europe or Scandinavia, North America, just probably shrugging your shoulders and thinking, minus 13 centigrade, thinking what's all the fuss about? That's quite rare these days, not as common as it used to be, minus double digits, so I'm relishing it and milking it for all it's worth. You can tell it's cold, I suppose, when you're setting off, when it's really cold, when you've got your warmer merino wool fleece on and you still haven't heated up yet. But now I've got going, I'm actually starting to warm up a bit and I think the hat will come off in a bit and maybe the fleece as well. Anyway, today, heading up a hill called Meall Fuaran, which is all the way up there. Just looks like a bland, nondescript lump from this angle, but it's actually got a very impressive, craggy face, which hangs over Glen Lochan, which is this glen cuts through here, very narrow. There's a lock in there. So it's a really good vantage point once you get up there. The rationale behind that being, because as you can tell, there's no wind at all. And there's very little cloud. It's going to be one of those days in 100. So the whole of Scotland will be out on the hill today. And that's when you have a tussle of where you want to go. The southern Cairngorms around Glen Shee, that's had a lot of snow as well. And I was scouring Instagram and Twitter last night, trying to figure out where I got the most snow. And I was almost going to head that way to the Cairngorms, but it would be very busy. And it's that toss-up really between thinking, I want the good snow, but I don't want to be sort of walking in people's prints the whole time. It's nice to be feeling like you've got away from it all a bit. Hence coming here, because these are very overlooked hills generally. Having said that, there are quite a few, well, 3 or 4 footprints up here. You can see that someone's been skiing down here, a couple of people. So certainly this hill here is more likely to have people than what I'm planning to do after that, which is to go further along the high ground, which leads all the way to Loch Tay, above Glen Almond. I don't think many people will have headed out that way. Those skiers might if they're on skis, but people on foot I can't imagine will. Not really, people don't really go up here. So I think they'll probably follow the tracks up to the top of this hill, and I imagine then probably diverge. We'll see. It's almost 5 to 9. Sunrise is about 1:45. So when you see the alpenglow sort of striking the tops of some of the hills, there's something I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure I was up sufficiently early enough that you get the sunrise. It's always a special moment when the snow's down. There we go. You can see how the sun's starting to kiss the tops of the hills. Won't be long before it's up. So, oh, that's it coming up now. Certainly it's getting warmer, but then the odd thing, isn't it, when it's high pressure, very still nights, it's colder down below in the glens than it is up at the top of the hill. So it gets, weirdly, it gets warmer as you get higher, to a point. Lovely. I'm already regretting my choice of snowshoes today. These are the smaller of my 2 pairs. I've got a bigger pair which have got a bit more what they call flotation. They're quite unwieldy, and when I was faffing about down the bottom it looked like it was going to be quite because the snow's sort of, it's really good snow for snowshoeing down there because it'd you know, had a bit of a thaw and then refrozen, so it's holding your weight quite well. But getting up here, it's all getting softer. And I'm already wishing I brought my larger pair. I don't know if I can do about that now. I have to lump it. It's better than nothing. There we go. There's been precious little sunshine in the past week. Really nice to see. Well, this is the wonderful craggy face of Meall Fuaran, holding the snow well at the moment. And this is Glen Lochan down here, which is going to be the way out. I mean, at least that's the plan. That was the original plan, is to sort of go up onto the high ground up there and then come down Glen Shervey, which is a glen that feeds into this Glen Lochan. It links sort of the Amulree, Loch Fruki over there with Glen Almond over there. So it's like a small glen linking two other glens. And the idea is to come out through that at the end of the day. I'm starting to think twice about that now, because one, the going is much tougher than I was hoping. I was quizzing people online last night actually about what the conditions were like underfoot for people who were out and about yesterday, and the general consensus was it was varied. So you had occasions like now where I'm on fairly solid ground, but then coming up against much softer deposits and it's much tougher going even with the snowshoes on. So that's going to slow me down, and I'm wondering, because it looks like it's actually fairly deep snow down there, I don't know, I don't want to sort of get to the end of the day and be tired and have to be wading out through really deep snow down there. Also, you've still got the sun up here. Don't know to what extent the sun's even going to get down there today. So we'll see. I'll at least get to the top of here and then decide. But it's a glorious day. Beautiful day. Well, the snow's got less variable. It's got a bit softer and a bit easier to kick through, but it's got a bit deeper as well. So it's actually a bit better all the way up here. Anyway, I am not far from the top, just very slow progress. Well, here we are at the top of Meall Fuaran. There's no distinct top necessarily. There's a small cairn over that way which looks down into Glen Lochan, but that's going in the wrong direction. Where we actually want to go is over there. It's hard to see in this light, but there's a hill up there. There's sort of a lower hill than this one, and then it comes left to a hill called Benvironment or something, I'm not sure, but it's a higher one over there. There's an even higher one to the end there, and that's got a trig point on top. I thought maybe about heading towards that if the going was good, but I don't think I'm going to get that far. So I'm going to aim for this middle one over here, and then there's a track that snakes its way down and it goes to Glen Shervey, which is down there. I think that's probably what I'll do, and I might make that do. Or maybe if I go over that way and it's looking like it's going to be too dark down in Glen Lochan, then I might actually come back the way I came, because this snow is actually quite nice now. It's kicking, it's being able to kick through it all right now. The views though today are astonishing. There's so much snow. I mean, there's nothing in Fife. Again, you get as far as sort of Dunkeld and here and Crieff, and suddenly it feels like the whole of the rest of the country has got snow. But what can we see? Way over in the distance over there, the really big one, that's Ben Lawes, of course. And then going through Anstuck and the Lawes range, and then going towards sort of Glen Lyon, and Schiehallion is way over there somewhere. Wonderful view through the Cairngorms as well. to Ben Aglow, which is over there, and just all the way around. It's wonderful. And of course, looking that way to Ben Honzi. Well, this is really something, isn't it? It's been a very long time since I've seen such widespread deep snow. I don't really think we got anything like this last year. Oh, it's just wonderful, and it is proper deep. Usually, even when you get a good dump of snow, I suppose, in this part of the world, and you're walking through the hills, when you've got the snowshoes on, you can often feel the ground underneath the snow, but it's not happening now. It's actually proper deep consolidated cover. Oh, it's wonderful. I haven't seen this for years. Wow, look at that. that's wonderful, eh? These bizarre snow sculptures you get where the drifts have come in. It's almost like a glacier. I mean, I know I'm a loner on the hill usually, but on a day like this, I have to say it would be nice to have 3 or 4 other people, so you can take it in turns with breaking trail, and then you just rotate the person at the front, so that nobody has too long breaking trail all day, which is what I'm doing at the moment. Oh, there's another chasm of sorts. It's a case of be careful what you wish for when you want perfect, wonderful snow, because it does mean that it's hard to make progress when you're by yourself. I love all this though. Look, there's a lot of hares, there's a lot of mountain hares here, and you can see, and I'll show you, the prints are everywhere going up the hill. Really funny, these little prints everywhere. I've seen quite a few of them as well. It's a lot of hares up here, I'm glad to say, because they're having a rough time on other parts of Scotland being cold. I'm actually glad that those prints turned out to be hare prints, because when I was way over there, looking over here, I could just see sort of very thin lines going out to the summit, and I worried maybe they were deer prints, and then you get a completely different sense of scale. But it means, happily, that I'm almost at the top of this next hill already, much sooner than I expected. Well, there's Schiehallion coming over the horizon just as we get to the top. Well, come all the way over those hills here, come along here and come up here. This is the final hill with 3 big cairns at the top, which I've never actually noticed before, so I'm quite looking forward to getting up there. But it is taking a long time. We're back into the inconsistent snow again. Oh my god. Break. God. It's getting to that point where every time your foot goes down into something really deep, it's becoming more and more difficult to drag yourself out of it again. It's exhausting. I'm just praying that once I get down into Glen Shervey and coming up through Glen Lochan, it's not going to be like this. I'm hoping, because it's lower down, hopefully it won't be. Otherwise it's definitely going to be a head torch finish at this rate. just doesn't seem to be getting any closer. There we go. Great. I wish I could tell you what these were, who put them here, why they're here, what they're called, but I'm afraid I don't know. There's quite a few big cairns like this scattered around these hills around Glen Almond, so that it's not an uncommon sight. But I can't recall ever seeing 3 in one place like that. It's nice. I like stuff like that. Almost, you know, bit of interest in the landscape and what is otherwise a very featureless landscape. You can see the whole length we've come now, from all the way over there, Meall and Furlong's over there, and we've come all the way along here and up, and now I need to go down this ridge and kind of round the back of Meall and Fuaran. But I've got to crack on now because it's 1 o'clock and I have been faffing. Not least with the camera, actually. It does add faffing time. So I best crack on, get both hands on the walking poles and get some distance underneath me, otherwise we will be having finish in darkness. Do love a good rhymed up fence. That's a cracker. Double fence with rime ice completely covering it. Wonderful backdrop, Ben Law's out the back. Anyway, time to leave that behind. It's always a shame when you have to leave the nice views behind. Well, there's nice views that way, but you know, sort of what lies beyond, you know, sort of the high ground you've been climbing, the view you get revealed to you once you get to the top and that you've been enjoying for the day. Yeah, it's a shame when you have to leave that behind. So, one last look and down. Descending now into Glen Shervey, which is this glen here, and Glen Lochan this is Meall and Fuaran here, this lump, and there's a next hill over there which is, I forget what that one's called, but in between those two, that's Glen Lochan in there. So not going down all the way down that big glen in the distance, because that's Glen Almond, which takes you to the Smar Glen, and the Amulree road, the Creef road, we're actually going left, going in that way. The snow's better here, it's a bit more consolidated. The wind has dropped because it's getting lower. Let's get a bit more shelter. It's actually really nice. Just taking the hat off, getting some sun towards the end of the day, because you are going to drop out of the sun shortly, which will be a shame because I've been in the sun all day. Somebody had suggested that I came up today up hills from Loch Tay, from Ard Talnach, on the south shore of Loch Tay, and that would have been a good ascent to do, but if you come up from that side you're in darkness for a lot of the time before you actually gain the high hills, so I thought it'd be better to come from this side. Not that I could have got over to that hill from here today, the pace I've been going, it's too far. It's nice though. You know what I was saying on Tinto about how liking to think that being exposed in winter to sun when you're out walking in the snow is actually perhaps aids your vitamin D levels in Scotland, in a country where otherwise you're not going to get enough levels in the winter. I did actually go and do some digging and found some research papers studying people in Finland doing outdoor jobs in the snow, and just about how much of the radiation, the sun's radiation, is bounced back. Because there's UVA rays and UVB, and it's UVB that produces the vitamin D in your skin. And it's markedly, there's a marked increase if you're out and about in the snow in terms of how much UVB you get. I'm not sure how that translates to what happens to your vitamin D levels, but certainly it does tend to suggest that if you're out and about getting the glare, I think something like 80%, 85% of the sun's radiation is reflected back off snow. Was it the albedo effect, is that what it's called? So hopefully, maybe, I'm getting a bit more vitamin D than I might otherwise get. Oh, now this is a sight for sore eyes, I won't lie. Tracks. As much as I love having virgin snow, clean snow to walk through, and the whole reason I came to these hills because I wasn't like to encounter anybody else, I won't deny that just to make the walk out easier after what has been a more tiring walk than I was expecting is perfect. Lovely, couldn't have asked for better. Makes it a very nice, easy walk out back down to the glen anyway. Enjoying the last of the sun. So much calmer down here. Because the frustrating thing is, this is all still really fairly cosmetic covering of snow. What you really want is for this to have some, you know, slightly more mild days, not really mild with wet and windy, just a few milder days just to sort of consolidate the snowpack, pack it down a bit, and then you want more snow on top. But you're not always trudging through a foot of fresh snow, you know, you've got a more firm base underneath any fresh snow, that's what you want. It was a bit like that at the top, actually. That's when it actually got a bit easier to snowshoes because there was fresh snow, but it was on top of an old base, I suppose. That's the dream. Don't want to go down into the shadows. Although it certainly won't be minus 13 again. Not here, not at this point. But it's going to be another cold one tonight, apparently. Then we're going to get milder again. It does feel a bit more like, unlike the other week, it's starting to feel a bit more like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, rather than 1 step forward, 2 steps back, is what it has been in this start of the winter. So it's shaping up all right, although people are still moaning about it, saying that, you know, there's not much snow in the central lowlands, and you just got to get in your car and go find it, because it's here. Oh, sad. There it goes. I mean, it's lovely and all going downhill. Just annoyingly, you have to sort of go back up another 150 metres maybe, I think. There's quite a bit of a ascent to get up through Benvironment and after this to get up to the lochs and then down to Loch Fruki. I'm inadvertently driving these poor sheep all the way down this path. I'm sure they don't want to. Don't like stressing animals out unnecessarily when it's cold and snowy weather. But they, you know, well, I can't blame them, but they're intent on staying on the path. It's certainly my intention as well. I'm probably going to end up at the car in an hour and a half. Oh, look up here, we've got... It's funny, in winter you do see grouse all flocking together. There's one there, but if you look, there's loads of them. Loads of red grouse. It's funny. I mean, you see them flying over in those numbers sometimes. I'm not usually good at picking them out amongst all. I mean, look. I mean, there's all these tussocks. Don't know why one of them just caught my eye just now. But looking up there, there's loads of them up there. And welcome back. Very nice. That was just half an hour really without the sun. Nice to be back. Not that it makes a blind bit of difference, really, this time of year. Anyway, it's nice. Brightness. Oh, and look, also, just spotted running across the hillside, the first ones I've seen today. Some red deer. Oh, to be as nimble as they are. Right, that's where we're going. Through that cleft, so there's a bit of ascent, a bit of up to do. But in the meantime, I think I've more than earned a little sit down. Or at least some tea and cake. Ooh. It's been good so far. It's been hard, but it's felt like I suppose the first proper big winter's walk, big snowy walk anyway, that I've done this season. The other ones, some, you know, as grueling as some of them are and have been, most, you know, they're just wee hills really. And this is too. In summer, it's a very easy hill to get to the top of and get down again. But turning it into a full round like this through snow like this is tiring. It is tiring, and it's like I was saying, how you have to ease yourself in. If I'd have started off the season with this walk, I'd be dead. I'm sure, from exhaustion. So that's why it pays to ease yourself in. So when you get a sort of a relatively benign day like this, you can actually enjoy the more arduous sections, I suppose, and actually sort of not feel like you're under pressure by the conditions. But I'm confident now. She's actually pretty icy, crusty stuff. It's like it was to start off with, actually, back down the other side. So it should be fine. Might not end in the dark after all. Right, with the sun setting, final part, final haul, about 100 metres up. Had a look at the map, it's about 100 metres up. And although I'm calling it the final haul, it's actually still 5 or 6 kilometres back to the car. But it's 10 to 3, so there's an hour before the sun sets, and then it's going to be clear, and there's quite a bright moon, so it's not going to get pitch black quickly, that's for sure. Anyway, I was pretty much happy so long as I knew I was going to get back onto this path before the sun went down. That's fine. I don't really like being on the open hillside after the sun set, but I don't mind once I'm back on a lowland path going back to the car. There's some avalanche debris up there. See, it's quite a lot of stuff moving around, so it's not the most stable. The avalanche forecast did say that slopes would be unstable between a southeast and a southwest aspect. So essentially, because it's been northerly winds for the most part, but variable northerly, northeasterly. So snow's been blown around a lot. Well, handy, there's plenty of footprints, so people have been through here. So I probably don't need the snowshoes, but I'm going to keep them on. It's good extra grip. This feels a counterintuitive thing to be doing at the end of the day. It feels like going into the hills again. But it's only a short distance and it all opens out, and then you can see Loch Fruki down again, but it does feel like you're going back into the hills. Of course we're not. What about that? Lovely. So one thing I really like about winter is, well, one of the many things I like about winter, if you make full use of the whole day, you get to see sunrise and you get to see sunset in the space of one walk. Marvellous. Not quite the Larrad Grew, but it's got that same feel to it, I think. So you can get a better look at these avalanches now. This avalanche debris that's come down. Fairly substantial. It is a danger you need to be aware of. frozen up. Certainly got colder since the sun's gone in. Oh, whiteness everywhere. That's lovely, isn't it? No wind, cold, lovely. That, of course, is where we went up all the way along this ridge line, struggling in that snow. This is the craggy face of Meall and Fuaran. So it's just not that far to go. And actually it's probably it's fairly easy underfoot now, but the snow's got deeper again this side, making easier going. It's a special time of day, isn't it, when the light's fading in the winter when the snow's down and everything's going those wonderful colours. It's actually part of the Rob Roy Way, which, where does it go? Drimmen, is it? Pitlochry. And this is like an alternate remote extension you can do to the route that brings you through Glen Almond and up here. Although the path is actually over there by that hill. You really wouldn't want to walk where I'm walking in the summer or any other time of year when it's not frozen. It is just one big bog. And again, joy of winter. Everything freezes up. And that is the final lock. Got to get past. Oh, getting tired. Well, still a way to go, but back on the road, which is always a mental relief. Lovely. What an epic day. Fantastic. For a moment, going on the hill up to those cairns, so 3 cairns, I thought maybe I'd bitten off more than I could chew. Because you don't know what the snow's going to be like. I mean, it's been fine coming through here. It's actually been the best snow of the day. Not the best, not the nicest snow. It's not very soft, but it's good to walk on. But if it had been as arduous as it was up there, that would have been a long day. Anyway, thoroughly enjoyed that. Look forward to the next one.